Your time, yeah.
Yeah, the buttons on the screen get kind of rough. Let me know. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Welcome back. This is Old New Do with my co-host
Richard York, Asher's True-Born son.
And we are back for Tyrion 2. All fairies laws are in effect. Spoilers ahead. And my son is here too. Play on the floor. Yeah, nobody's at the house, just me and him. So there you go. Today is my sister's birthday, so I'm wearing the hat that I bought for me and her husband, and that was sweet, wasn't it? All right, sit down.
Well, happy birthday to Casey's sister.
There you go. All right, normally, like always, the brains of the operation will start what he saw in the chapter, and then I'll add my stupid stuff. Today, without any cuss words or in the windows or anything, because I got the 7-year-old in here.
All right, well, the North went on forever. So if we associate the North with cold and the long night, this could be a reference to the long night seeming to go on forever.
Yeah, well, as soon as I read that sentence, and we've already said that I agree with the first sentence and the last sentence, each chapter having significant meaning. When Bran was having his fallen dream, which is later, he looks north. And it keeps going north, and it keeps going north, and it's past the curtain of whatever. He just keeps looking and just gets scared. So the North went on forever. In my mind, is does it? I know it's a planet, but how far north does North go on this thing?
Yeah.
All right.
So cold blue-gray giants with jagged promontories and snow on their shoulders. So we talked earlier, actually just in the last chapter in Eddard, the land is sort of personified and perhaps at war with humanity.
Yeah.
So the mountains being like, cold giants is sort of symbolizes that as well.
Yeah.
Yoren was stooped and sinister, his features hidden behind a beard as black as his clothing, but he seemed as tough as an old root and as hard as stone. So I don't know about sinister, but he's definitely tough and hard.
Yeah.
Daddy, I can't see that.
I had a question. I see you found Superman. Sit down, buddy. Later, and I know I'm jumping the gun here, but Jon looks at Euron and Euron. I always say Euron for some reason. And then the two guys that he brings with him, and he don't like what he sees, but in my mind, he should have seen Euron already, because if he was the gathering brother, for the Night's Watch, and Jon wanted to join the Night's Watch, every time the man went south, he should have stopped at Winterfell.
Yeah, certainly he must have seen Yoren before.
I don't think he made the extra effort to see a brother from the Night's Watch that wasn't his uncle.
Yeah, and maybe he's seeing Yoren in a new light, because he's probably sort of dressed up when he's going to. he's probably sort of dressed up when he's going to Winterfell. And he's more associating him right now with the Rapers, right?
Yeah. So, sorry, I didn't mean to get you off track.
No, perfect. Tyrion felt sorry for the boy. He had chosen a hard life, or perhaps he should say that a hard life had been chosen for him.
Yes.
As we discussed in Jon's chapter, Jon was told and clearly angry about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he definitely got hoodooed on that one.
The Lannisters never declined graciously or otherwise. The Lannisters took what was offered. Later on, we're going to see a direct contradiction of this. So I thought it was kind of funny.
Okay.
The book, A Rumination on the History and Properties of Dragons. With Lord Eddard Stark's permission, Tyrion had borrowed a few rare volumes from the Winterfell library and packed them for the ride north. So these books are safe from the fire.
Yeah.
And this one book is the one that people focus on, right? They don't pay as much attention to the what we discussed previously with the fact that he was looking at the seasons and the engines of war.
Yeah. Which I'm amazed, even though I'm on the fence or on the ship that Jamie and Cersei are the dragon seeds in the family.
Yeah.
Just the amount of information and the amount of space that is given to dragons in this chapter.
That's what people use as their evidence mostly, right?
Right. I was like, well, no, I can see everybody thinking that, and I think it's a rope-a-dope. I think it's too obviously. Look at Tyrion. Look at dragons. Here we go. Don't worry about the other two.
Well, the chimera theory is interesting, right? The idea that often heterochromia can be, two different colored eyes can be because of you actually have the genetic. Basically, there was a conjoined twin that got absorbed into the body, and so there's two different DNA in there. So, I mean, Joanna seems like she had an ongoing affair, right? And seldom doesn't mean never, especially when you're in a history book talking about past events, right?
Yeah.
So she seldom visited King's Landing thereafter. Well, if you're in a history book and somebody never visited, you wouldn't say seldom.
No,
right?
They'd say never.
Right. So if I say seldom, I seldom do something, that can be almost akin to never if I'm talking in present and future tense. Right. If it's a history book in past tense, that implies repeatedly, right? Occasionally, basically. So it's definitely possible.
I found this one.
Sorry, I'm entertainer 7. Keep on going.
Yeah, I don't understand how people say that I've heard people literally say that the firing was Tyrion's conception, and I'm like, no way. Not long thereafter is definitely sometime after the wedding, but it's not that many years after the wedding. He's years younger than Jamie and Cersei, right? I don't really. So I've heard people specifically say that the firing was when Tyrion was conceived, and I'm like, no, the firing was when Jamie and Cersei were conceived.
Right, because if we remember Oberon's discussion about coming to see Tyrion, he was a baby in a crib, and Jamie and Cersei were 9.
Yes, that. So it's definitely, they're definitely old enough to be talking with him and stuff, and even talking about potential
proposals
marriages.
And all stuff.
I mean, not that they're going to get married right away, but forming the betrothals. I get that you can betroth somebody who's a kid, but they were definitely carrying on intelligent conversations at the time, right?
Right. I mean, Cersei definitely wanted to show him the monster. So
in fact, that was when they were. In fact, that was just after they'd been caught in bed together.
Yeah, maybe that been a push for let's get this betrothed and get her out of. I think it's what spurred her to realize that people were going to notice that they were in fact Targaryens, and right that the fact that they were incestuously drawn together. To me, that spurred Joanna to action at that point. But I did not think about that. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's what I love talking to a physical person, because we get to bounce ideas off of and things I never thought of. I freaking love learning something new or a different way to look at stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare that we do one of these and you don't say something where I go, yeah, that's a great catch, right? Like the ears being covered for Robert and so forth. I mean,
in 30 minutes, I get one good word in 30 minutes, but it's worth it.
Sometimes more than once.
There you go.
I said it's rare that you don't get at least one.
Yeah.
When he had moved away, Tyrion could have sworn that the beast's empty eye sockets had watched him go. So, can Tyrion tell when the old gods are watching? Sort of like Ned?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Is this Tyrion echoing Ned? Right? So, Tyrion has, arguably Tyrion is a bigamist, right? Because there's no way that the septon who married him had the authority to annul the marriage. So he's already he's legitimately married in the sept, and then marries Catelyn's daughter, right? So and he's clearly echoing Ned all throughout the second book. He's the protagonist hand, trusting too much in an advisor, getting attacked by a King's Guard, all that, right?
Well, you got to stop and think about it. You got Bran that was looking at Ned through the weirwood trees, And then you used to have these dragon skulls in the throne room.
Right.
Is there something looking through the skulls of these dragons?
Right. And we just heard the exact same observation from Ned, right?
Right.
So anyway, yeah. So it's interesting that it continues the parallel of Tyrion is sort of echoing Ned.
Yeah.
There were 19 skulls. The oldest was more than 3,000 years old. The youngest a mere century and a half. So one thing about that is, if there was only 19 skulls, how does the first one go back to 3,000 years ago? When we see in this exact same paragraph that was 300 years ago, and he specifically refers to them going until the three dragons of the conquerors, and telling us that was less than 300 years ago. It's a really bizarre 3,000 years thing. But
not to mention, you got dragons that were that old and probably grew extremely large, but it's not specifically.
He specifically tells us that they go from the recent to the old and the last, are the big three of the right from 300 years ago. So it's really weird that he says 3,000 years here. I don't know. It's literally the same chapter where he told us it was 300 years.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how old Dragonstone is, though.
Yeah. I mean, but anyway, I don't know where he gets this whole 3,000 years thing. There are 19 castles at the wall. And he mentioned 19 skulls. And according to the Quran 66:6, there are 19 guardians of hell. So anyway, just one of the things I'd gone looking for 19 when David Lightbringer had asked, what's the significance of 19, the 19 castles at the wall. And I said, well, maybe they're the 19 guardians of hell. So I looked into, well, what's the significance in mythology and so forth of 19? And that was the best thing I could come up with.
That's pretty good something, though.
Yeah. Near 4,000 men had burned that day. So Aegon had faced 5,000 knights and more than 50,000 foot, and burned fewer than 4,000. People often make this sound like this was some sort of massive massacre of the entire army,
right?
And it clearly wasn't. So I just thought that was worth noting, right?
Well, I mean, he wasn't trying to punish the small folk that were following the bigwigs. He specifically went after the heart and got the bigwigs. So I mean,
he got to the actual the biggest threat in the entire kingdom. He managed to kill.
Whatever people say about whatever people say about
3,000 around him.
He didn't want to hurt the common man.
Yep. He had the stark face, if not the name, long, solemn, guarded, a face that gave nothing away. Whoever his mother had been, she had left little of herself in her son. So everybody thinks this proves that Ned is not Jon's. The logic here is really bizarre. So in a story where you can tell paternity by looks, where that's like the key to the entire story, people say that this is like ironic foreshadowing that indicates that because he looks exactly like Ned, he's therefore not Ned's. I'm like, I don't think that logic checks, but okay. Of course, people also think that Ned jumping, there's a bunch of the plot holes like that people think are plot holes, where I'm like, I don't think so. Like Ned jumping to the conclusion that Jaime was Cersei's lover. I don't think it's a plot hole. I think he knows the Targaryen history. He knows they tried, like Aegon the Fifth, for example, tried to marry their kids for political purposes, and it would fail because the Targaryen incest was just too strong, right? And so him jumping to the conclusion when he believes the scurrilous rumors about Joanna and Aerys is not really much of a leap of logic at all if he believes the rumors. Sometimes I'd imagine my father burning, at other times my sister. Jon Snow was staring at him, a look equal parts horror and fascination. Tyrion guffawed. Don't look at me that way, bastard. I know your secret. You've dreamt the same kind of dreams. And we do see Jon's dreams, and there's some truth to this.
Yeah. I mean, how could there not be? I mean, nobody is that perfect.
Yep. He never saw the wolf, where it was or how it came at him. One moment he was walking towards snow, and the next he was flat on his back on the hard, rocky ground. So this whole moment and the way they become friends and his laughter, him laughing it off, reminds me of the Great Jon. So we've got a small guy who insults Jon Snow, and gets attacked by his wolf, who then laughs about it and becomes his friend. And then the Great Jon is a big guy who gives insult to Rob, gets attacked by a wolf, laughs about it, and becomes his friend.
See, that's what I like these rereads, is because the first time you read through this stuff, you miss a lot of this. You don't know that, hey, that's going to be similar later on in the story. Right. The first time you read it, you didn't know. But the second time, third time, fourth time, I see, buddy. It's nice to go back and see, oh, that was a little nod for the future.
Yep. He did not growl. The damn thing never made a sound. So somebody on Twitter, I got to look for it, but somebody on Twitter pointed out that this isn't quite true. That there's somewhere in one of Jon's dreams where Ghost actually does do some answering or howling or something. I can't find it, but I remember somebody pointed it out to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would assume that you would be able to go on word search.
Yeah, I tried. I tried in Search by Some Fire, and I tried looking for how. I feel like it's something like raised his voice in answer or something along those lines. I couldn't find it with how. I'm not sure.
I mean, I was just going to type in ghost to see if we came up with anything.
There's so many, though. It's a lot to read through.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes I got nothing else to do.
Yeah, well, my thought is just be on the lookout for it during rereads. Let's make a note of it if we find it.
There you go, yeah.
Then he laughed, a raw snort of amusement that came bursting out through his nose entirely without his permission. Oh, gods, he said, choking on his laughter and shaking his head. I suppose I do rather look like a grumpkin. What does he do to Snarks? You don't want to know. There's definitely Great Jon vibes here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Snarks is only one letter off from Starks, too, so.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
There's my 1 point right there.
If that's what it is, that's what it is.
There you go.
Tyrion grinned at him. That's good, bastard. Most men would rather deny a hard truth than face it. Come, we had better return to camp before your uncle calls the banners. So the banners are definitely going to be called. And in no small part, that's going to be partially because Tyrion disappears with a Stark.
Right. And that might be a little nod that it was Benjen who called the banners for Ned when he was headed north with Ashara.
Maybe.
He stayed at, I mean, there's the Order of the Green Hand goes through the timetable, and he could call the banners from White Harbor. Or you could have left her there.
I like their analysis a lot of the timing and why Wyla could be Ashara and the Fisherman's Daughter all at the same time. And so
I have a half a book like this of nothing but timeline and blue yarn, working on it, like you see in the detective. All because I got kind of yelled at on Twitter, and it made me mad. My question was legitimate. If there's evidence for it, great. If there's not, that's fine. But I was I was told that it's just an opinion, not a theory. And I'm like, well, that's all what theories are opinions. But that's neither here nor there. One day I'll do the timeline.
Okay. Jon Snow offered a hand to help him over a thick tangle of roots, but Tyrion shook him off. He would make his own way as he had all his life. Really? Did you just tell us you take what is offered?
I think his pride got in the way.
Yeah. I think it's funny that he's inconsistent here. The boy stood near the fire, his face still and hard, looking deep into the flames. Tyrion Lannister smiled sadly and went to bed. Tyrion and the reader both notice a parallel with Tyrion's daydreams right here.
Yeah.
He's gazing into the flames.
Oh, well, I mean, one is that last sentence, too. Tyrion smiled sadly and went to bed. He and the reader knows that the Night's Watch don't deserve Jon. The old Night's Watch, when it had 10,000 men and it was honorable and didn't have all this junk going up that way. Yep. But John's been duped. The wall doesn't deserve him, and they better be glad that they got him when the time comes. But
Yep.
that was
Well, and just the fact that he's, we see staring in the flames to be like pondering the future and daydreaming and so forth, right? And so,
yeah.
so the question is
No.
he wishing he had a better life? Is he wishing that is he wishing he was the trueborn Stark?
Yeah, well, I mean, he is. And then also, I mean, you get the that Benjen duped Jon into taking the black, and he's the reason Jon is taking the black. And the arguments sound pretty good when they're going through it step by step, and they make it kind of seem like after he gets him to agree to take the black, he's kind of done with him. Well, I mean, once he takes the black, it's not that Benjen doesn't care anymore. He can't show favoritism.
Right.
So, and there's one line in here. Oh shoot. Where he's like, okay, there you are. I had it written down. Oh, there you are, Jon. Darn it. Don't go off like that by yourself. I thought the others had gotten you. It just seemed like he still cares.
Oh, yeah.
He's not being a jerk.
Of course, it's the opposite.
I said jerk.
Of course, that's the opposite. The opposite of what happens, right? That Benjen goes off and the others get him.
Yeah, get down, buddy. Well, it just seemed to me that the better explanation for Benjen not spending a whole lot of time with Jon is that the man's got to make his way on his own.
Yeah. I mean, I like some of their observations there. Their discussion about how he's richly dressed and he doesn't seem like he's nearly as dedicated to this as maybe Jon thinks he is, and so forth. I mean,
right. Well, I like their theory that the reason that Brandon
deserted
or Benjen leaves is because Mormont says, "Look, I'm making Jon my steward, and I'm going to groom him for the next Lord Commander," and that just irated Benjen. He's like, "Okay, bye, I'm gone."
Yeah.
Okay.
Does he leave before that, though? We're going to have to pay attention to that. I can't remember if he's actually off on the ranging before that happens.
They're saying that the chances are, with Benjen being the first ranger, Mormont had to talk to Benjen about Jon's future.
Maybe. But I don't think so, because the moment that they really become convinced that Jon is leadership material is after he's gone, because I think he's gone before Tyrion heads back, right? Because isn't Tyrion the one that says, and who he thinks to himself, and who will they send after you, right?
Yeah.
So he proves himself leadership material after Benjen's already missing.
Right.
So that's why I don't think that's quite right, but I don't know, maybe. Maybe they always planned it. It's possible. I think we're supposed to think that he proved himself leadership material there, though, right? That before that, they just thought it was another ranger, but then when that happened, they decided to make him the steward.
Yeah. And then
plus,
of course, get a little bit of how Tyrion, his life has been, when he's talking about what do you see, and then Jon's like Lord Tyrion or Lord Lannister or whatever. He's like, no, you see a dwarf, and he starts going and rattling through all the stuff that he's gone through, even though he's had it better than other dwarfs might have. It's still crud. Which, I mean, it's just an insight or look of what Tyrion's had to go through for however old he is, 23 or whatever. I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it.
Yep. We got Catelyn 2, Catelyn 3.
3. Cat 2 is the one where I joined you.
Yeah. All right. You could be here tomorrow?
No, I don't think tomorrow's going to work.
What about Friday?
Yeah, I think so.
Friday. We'll try to do Cat 3 on Friday. I've been with you. I've been Old New Dude, and you've been
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
All right. We'll see y'all later. And this little man.
Have a good one.
Little man.
Yeah, I got my hands full.
I did.
You did good.